Welcome back to Curtis High School, where it's time to wrap this one up with the Aldersons Awards West postgame show. For trophies, awards, t-shirts, and so much more, go to aldersons.net and check out their full catalog. I am Matthew King, joined alongside Joe with the final score of semifinal number 1. The Olympia Bears defeat the Federal Way Eagles 77-68 in a statement-making win for Olympia. Joe, the talk all year has really been centered around two teams, Curtis and Federal Way. Everyone's kind of anticipated them meeting, likely for the state championship. Olympia, though, seems to have been overlooked. They've now beat Curtis. They've now beat Federal Way. And the Bears seem to be just getting hotter and hotter as we get into February and eventually into March.
Well, of course, Curtis is the defending state champion, defeating unbeaten Mount Si in the title game in the Tacoma Dome last year, and one of the all-time great games in state history. And Curtis had everybody back for this season. So, you know, some of the goals for that team were, if they said, let's win every game, that wouldn't have been unreasonable at all. Olympia beat them by 12 points a few weeks ago. And Curtis does have a few losses. They aren't the tallest team. They are a really fine Washington State high school basketball team. But Olympia is up for about any challenge that this state has to offer after watching them this afternoon here in Tacoma. Wow. Great teamwork, passing, unselfishness, and, boy, when they needed it, senior Parker Garrett's with 31 points. And we were raving about his defense the whole game as well, Matt, because it was there. How about those contests on the three-pointers?
3 blocks on the three-point shots. He was incredible. And you mentioned the passing. There's some guys who aren't going to jump off on the scoring sheet, but guys like Drew Carlson and Christian Downing, Matt Lindblom, they all did their part. Some fantastic ball movement from Olympia. Just Federal Way constantly moving. This Eagles defense is very, very good. Olympia just methodically broke it down. Parker Garrett's, he can score in the worst situations. This offense of Olympia is just way too balanced, way too good.
Yeah, I mean, Mason Juergens had a fantastic game. Drew Carlson scored just 8 points, but made a lot of good passes. He has some good ball fakes. He was heady. And Matt Lindblom as well with some nice passes. Engholm is, he's a valuable player at 6'7", even has an outside shot. He hit his only three-point attempt. But then you got Parker Garrett's bailing you out on so many opportunities, and you don't even have to call it that. I mean, he's just using his offensive prowess to defeat the other team. And 31 points. He was 11 of 18 from the field overall, 3 for 7 behind the arc, 6 for 6 from the foul line, 15 points in the first half, 16 points in the second half. Just one tremendous ball player, and his defense was there as well. A real joy to watch. Federal Way made several runs, as you called the action, and just too much offense from Olympia. Too much offensive efficiency. They shot 60% for the game. They were 28 for 47 from the field. They slowed it down a little bit in the fourth quarter, but nonetheless, 60% is really outstanding for a high school basketball team against Federal Way, who is used to dominating a lot of games with their squad, and they gave it their all again. They just couldn't keep up with the offensive efficiency of Olympia.
We kept talking about that winning streak of Federal Way and winning dominantly throughout that winning streak. A loss like this at this point in the season can light a spark under you, and you can realize, hey, we're still not perfect. We still got a lot to work on. So the Eagles can take this loss and become a much better team. They are still not a team you're going to want to overlook at the state tournament, especially if these two squads meet again. Some notable scoring totals in this one for Olympia. You mentioned it, Joe. Parker Garrett's 31, a game high. 19 also for Mason Juergens. 13 for Andreas Engel. Most of those in the first half. For Federal Way, the notable scores: Dace Pleasant, 20 points in this ballgame, 17 for Vaughn Weems, and 12 off the bench for Colton West, all beyond the arc. So Again, balanced scoring effort, but we do have to name an MVP of this one for the Olympia Bears. I don't think we had to debate it too much during the break. Parker Garrett's just everything he brings to this team, the leadership role, the defense, incredible offense, can create his own offense, can set up his teammates on offense. You name it, Parker Garrett's does it at a high level.
He did that, and he's playing Division I next year, but he's not thinking of that right now because they have beaten Curtis, they have beaten Federal Way, and after today and another game Saturday, they've got the Tacoma Dome right in their sights. It's going to be an exciting couple weeks of basketball coming up, Matt.
They are right now thinking, are we going to play Camas or will we have a rubber match with the Curtis Vikings? We will find that one out. That tip is scheduled for 7:30. That will be the next game. The winner will take on the Olympia Bears in the district championship. The loser will play Federal Way in the third place game. That is going to do it, though, for this edition of high school basketball on the Eli and NFHS Sports Networks. We're going to close this one down. We will be back on air about 15 minutes before the next game. Camas and Curtis, again, coming up at 7:30 here on the Eli and NFHS Sports Networks.